From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your MTN statewide news this Thursday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, Montana sets a new record for confirmed COVID-19 cases today, and not just a small bump. The state reporting an additional 333 active cases. That's a 40-person jump over the last record that was just last week. Yellowstone County adds the most new cases with 62, taking the county total active cases to 689. Roosevelt County reports 56 new cases, and Missoula County adds 46. Gallatin County, 35, and Cascade County reports 20 new cases. The remaining new cases are spread across 27 Montana counties. Now, Petroleum County is now the only county in the state to report no COVID-19 cases. Well, the Whitefish School District has opted to continue with a hybrid learning model until October 9th. Originally, the district planned to return 100% in-person learning on September 28th. Well, right now, half of the students learn virtually for the first part of the week, while the other half are in person. Then they switch. In a letter to the Whitefish School District, Superintendent Dave Means says due to the increase in coronavirus cases in the valley and in schools, the district will continue the hybrid model until October 9th. In this letter, Means referenced the Flathead City County Health Department that it had suggested staying in the hybrid model until cases decline. Well, it's time now to check in on our weather. Rob Griggs is in today, and Rob, it is gorgeous out there so far.
So far, we have some fire concerns we'll be talking about today, Jeanelle, and usually I like to give you some good news as we look ahead into the future to see if we get any relief from all the dry, hot weather we've had. I don't have any such relief for you. The 6 to 10 day outlook for September 29 through October 3rd, warmer than average, but it's not just us. It's most of the western United States. However, central and eastern, the eastern portion of the United States will be cooler than average. And unfortunately, precipitation-wise, the only one who's going to be getting any wet is up toward New England and the Northeast. Otherwise, we're going to remain drier than average over that time period. So today we have some red flag fire warnings to contend with and some weather that will not help that process out at all. The forecast in just a little bit, Jeanelle.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, a Billings man is going to prison for the next 10 years for selling meth all over Montana. A judge handed 41-year-old William Hansen Jr. that sentence yesterday in Great Falls. Back in June, he pleaded guilty to possession with intent to distribute meth. In 2018, Missoula authorities got a tip that Hansen was on his way back from Washington State with drugs. Missoula police pulled him over and found meth in his car. The detectives were already aware that Hansen was involved in trafficking the drugs in Missoula and Great Falls. The Breonna Taylor case has become part of a national referendum on police actions. As Adriana Diaz reports, the decision not to charge officers directly with her death drew an impassioned response across the country.
They shouted her name in the streets of Washington, D.C., with marches from Philadelphia to Chicago, Dallas, and Los Angeles.
This is not over. We will not be silent.
In Breonna Taylor's hometown of Grand Rapids, Michigan, her cousin spoke out, and the police chief knelt with protesters in a moment of solidarity.
We'll never be divided.
Several arrests were made in Atlanta, where Georgia State Patrol said officers deployed tear gas. And in New York, police officers struggled to contain the crowds of impassioned demonstrators.
There's going to be a flashpoint for the election. Our heart goes out to her mother.
Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden reacted from the campaign trail, encouraging protesters to remain peaceful.
Well, my message is that I love the black community.
While President Trump stayed mostly silent on the grand jury's decision, instead voicing support for Kentucky's Republican Attorney General.
Daniel Cameron is doing a fantastic job. I think he's a star.
Breonna Taylor has become a symbol for racial injustice, and the reaction to Wednesday's announcement wasn't limited to the streets.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
Queen Latifah was among several celebrities to speak out.
Enough already. Enough already. It's time for some people to go to jail.
LeBron James also chimed in, writing a series of tweets that read in part, I'm devastated. The most disrespected person on earth is the black woman. And after a Game 4 win in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals, the pain was evident for Miami Heat star Bam Adebayo.
I kind of just tried to channel my anger towards the game, and I feel like this win was for her.
Adriana Diaz, CBS News, Louisville, Kentucky.
Today, the body of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg will lie in repose for one more day outside the Supreme Court. Yesterday, thousands attended to say their goodbyes, including former President Bill Clinton, who nominated her in 1993. President Trump is expected to visit today. Justice Ginsburg will lie in state at the Capitol tomorrow. The president plans to announce his nomination for her replacement on Saturday. Judge Amy Coney Barrett of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit is considered the leading contender. Well, a Butte police officer on a routine patrol last week was suddenly called to an accident, forced to make a life or death decision. MTN's John Amy introduces us to this hero.
Butte police officer Nick Butorovich had to act quickly last week to remove an unconscious woman who was trapped in her overturned vehicle that was fully engulfed in flames. The young officer crawled into the burning cab and had to cut the seatbelt with a sharp blade in order to free the victim. The fire had melted part of the seatbelt, causing a second-degree burn to his right hand.
All I remember really is my actions. I don't remember how I felt. It didn't really matter at the time. All that mattered was that somebody was in danger.
The officer says he was in the right place at the right time.
I don't think I did anything that any other officer wouldn't have done in my situation. I truthfully believe that it would have been the same result if you plug in any other officer from our department or frankly anywhere else.
Officer Butorovich may downplay his actions at this intersection the evening of the crash. The sheriff, however, doesn't hesitate to call the young officer a hero.
He's in the vehicle, the seatbelt's melting. I mean, that's how close it was. It wasn't. He plays it down pretty good. He's not after recognition or anything. He just wants to go back to work, but he's a hero.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Nice work. The crash victim has been treated for and released for her injuries. Well, it's already pretty well known. It's very expensive to live in Gallatin County, and last month prices took another sizable leap. The Gallatin Association of Realtors shows in 1 year, August to August, the cost of a single family home is now just under $576,000. Sales are up almost 26%, and pending sales have jumped 50%. Condo and townhouse sales are also up. The median sales price for a condo is about $348,000. Well, the latest data from the U.S. Census show Montanans are not stepping up to be counted. Montana ranks second to last in the nation in responses. It shows 91% of Montana households have responded to the survey. Only Alabama has a lower response rate. If you haven't been counted, officials urge you to do so before September 30th. Census data is used to help determine things like federal funding for education, social safety nets, and highway infrastructure planning. Head to 2020census.gov so you can be counted. Well, we have more ahead on your noon news. We check in with some of the littlest patients in Montana who are getting a boost to help them grow. But first, Rob's in next with your statewide weather forecast. Don't go away.